Good morning. My name is Steve Onsman. I'm the pastor of Calvary United Church of Christ in Reading, Pennsylvania. I'm glad you're watching. Hope you'll share this if you find it helpful. And if you see it recorded, I'm going to post it too. So my question today is, when Jesus says where two or three are gathered in my name, I am there, does he mean that he isn't there with me when I'm alone? It's an anonymous question. No, of course not. But it's an important question because with the increase of people watching church on TV since really the 1970s, and especially in the last 14 plus months with COVID, this becomes a really important question. What is the church? And where is Jesus with us if we're by ourselves at home? So let me try to explain my interpretation of this as best as I can. First of all, this comment is found in Matthew 18. Now, the context around it is dealing with people who have fallen away from the church and sinned against you. So in the verses prior to this, Jesus tells a story of the shepherd leaving the 99 to look for the one lost sheep. Then we have instruction on how to treat a member who has sinned against us. This is probably placed there after the resurrection when the church is starting to formulate itself, and people are, as people will have different opinions. And so church wasn't even a thing when Jesus was alive, and even after the resurrection. So the church had organized themselves, and Paul really did that for us later. The process was very simple. If someone sins against you, you go to that person, and you say to them, you try to work it out. If they don't repent, apologize, whatever it is, it doesn't say. Then you bring a couple of your elders with you, 2 or 3 members, to witness to this, and again, try to convince that person. And if then they don't respond, then Jesus says you take it before the whole church and they are cast out. And if they don't come around, Jesus says, allegedly Jesus, treat them like a Gentile or a tax collector, which is curious because Jesus treated those two groups of people with compassion and invitation. Unlike many people of his time. So his actions would not have been to shun people. I think it would have been to call them back. He then speaks of authority that you're given over whatever happens on earth, which is also another weird thing and too much to talk about. And then this passage. Following this passage, Peter asked how often they should forgive. 7 times? And Jesus says no. 77 or 7 times 70, which is 49 or 7 times 7. So anyway, 490, it's a lot. No matter how you count it, it's a lot. It goes beyond what was expected. To the second part of the question, in Matthew 6, the passage we read on Ash Wednesday, Jesus tells his disciples to do for others, to give to their alms, to pray in private, so as not to get praise from people that are around you. Only so God can see you, and then God will say thank you. So here we see that Jesus is present with us in private when we're doing something valuable, like the things I just mentioned. And right after this, and at this point it's not prompted by his disciples in this version of it, Jesus teaches them the only prayer that he teaches his followers, the Lord's Prayer, which we call it, which of course isn't incomplete. It is in completion there. It gets completed later on into the next century. So the answer to the question is yes. God is present when we are alone and when we are together. The 2 or 3 part, to me, is all about how we do God's work in the world. So I always tell people that my ideas, my thoughts, my hopes, my plans, when I share them with a group in church, a committee, or our leadership, they make it so much better that it looks nothing like my original idea generally. It might have a little bit of a germ of the thought. So when we're together, we are the church working together. When we're alone, we're ourselves, and we have this one-on-one thing with God, but we have to go beyond the one-on-one and look to serve. So God is present with us in our alone times, but we are the church when we are together. And that might, virtually we've been the church for a while. We're going to hope to come back in June to live services, but for right now, we have still been the church because we've been together in some ways. That's what God calls us to. So that's all I have for today. What do you think? Send me an email. I'm running out of questions and I need more. And thank you to those who keep sending them to me. I'd like to hear from other people as well. So send me it and I will try to answer your question on a Wednesday word. So stay safe out there. Keep washing your hands and distance. Get your vaccination. Wear your mask. And I'll see you next week.